The moment she closed the office door behind them, the entire world seemed to fall silent. The afternoon sunlight poured through the towering glass windows of the executive suite, painting golden streaks across the polished floor. Nathan Mercer, a humble 34-year-old widowed single father who had spent years balancing a demanding accounting job with raising his 6-year-old daughter, stood nervously before the most powerful woman in the city. Everyone feared CEO Celeste Ashford for her impossible standards and icy professionalism. Yet today, her blue eyes held something completely different. There was pain, loneliness, and a desperate hope that had nothing to do with business. Then she quietly made a request that would change both of their lives forever. She wanted a baby, and she wanted Nathan's help. Before we continue, if you believe kindness, compassion, and second chances can change lives, please take a moment to like this video, comment where you're watching from, share it with someone who loves emotional stories, and subscribe to our channel, Kindness Legacy. Your support helps us bring more heartfelt stories to life. Nathan had never imagined his life would lead to such an impossible moment. Since losing his wife Amelia to a sudden illness 4 years earlier, every sunrise had begun the same way. He woke before dawn, prepared breakfast, braided his daughter Ivy's hair with clumsy fingers, packed her lunch, dropped her at school, worked tirelessly all day, then rushed home to become both father and mother. His dreams had quietly disappeared beneath endless responsibilities. Romance no longer existed in his world. Survival was enough. Celeste Ashford lived a completely different life. She was only 38 but had built one of the country's fastest-growing technology companies through relentless determination. Magazine covers called her the Iron Queen of Silicon Valley. Investors admired her fearless decisions. Employees respected her brilliant mind. Yet every evening, when the elevators emptied and the office lights dimmed, she returned to a penthouse filled with silence. Success had given her wealth beyond imagination, but it had quietly stolen the years she once believed would include marriage and children. Doctors had recently delivered devastating news. Because of a medical condition that had gradually worsened over the years, her opportunity to become a biological mother was rapidly disappearing. She had explored every possible option. Dating felt impossible because every relationship seemed attracted to her fortune instead of her heart. Anonymous donors felt too cold and impersonal. Adoption remained close to her heart, yet she longed to experience pregnancy while she still could. During months of watching employees, one person constantly stood out. Nathan. He never complained. He never chased promotions by stepping over others. He quietly helped coworkers without expecting praise. Whenever Ivy visited the office after school, everyone smiled watching the exhausted father somehow transform into the happiest man alive simply by hearing his daughter laugh. Celeste noticed something else. Nathan treated everyone exactly the same. Receptionists, executives, security guards, cleaning staff. To him, kindness wasn't strategy. It was simply who he was. When she finally gathered enough courage to speak with him privately, Nathan initially thought he had made a terrible mistake at work. Instead, Celeste slowly explained everything. She spoke about loneliness, about lost time, about wanting to become a mother before it was too late. She explained that she wasn't asking for romance or marriage. She wanted honesty, trust, and someone whose character she admired. She promised complete legal protection, financial independence, and absolute respect for whatever decision he made. Nathan felt his heart pounding harder than ever before. He wasn't hearing a business proposal. He was hearing the deepest vulnerability the city's strongest woman had ever shown another human being. That night he couldn't sleep. He stared at the old family photographs beside his bed. He remembered Amelia's final words asking him never to let grief stop him from loving life again. Still, this wasn't love. It was far more complicated. He worried about Ivy. Would she understand? Would another child feel abandoned without a traditional family? Would people assume terrible things about him? Every question felt heavier than the last. A few days later, Celeste invited Nathan to lunch, not at a luxury restaurant, but at a quiet park where children played beneath enormous oak trees. There were no lawyers, no assistants, no expensive suits, just two people speaking honestly. Nathan asked questions that surprised her. He didn't ask about money. He didn't ask about contracts. He asked whether the child would grow up feeling loved. He asked whether she would tell the child the truth one day. He asked whether Ivy would have the chance to know the baby as family. For the first time in years, Celeste cried openly. Not because she was sad. Because someone finally cared more about a child's future than her billion-dollar fortune. Weeks passed. Counselors, doctors, and family specialists became involved. Everything was approached carefully, respectfully, and ethically. Nathan insisted on one condition above all else. If they brought a child into the world, that child would always know they were deeply wanted. Celeste agreed immediately. Months later, after thoughtful planning and mutual consent, they moved forward. Life returned to normal, or at least it appeared to. Nathan continued packing lunches. Celeste continued leading board meetings. Neither told anyone outside the trusted medical team. Then one crisp autumn morning, Celeste called Nathan before sunrise. Her voice trembled. The test was positive. She was pregnant. Nathan sat silently in his small kitchen while Ivy happily colored pictures nearby. He looked toward the ceiling as tears filled his eyes. Not from fear, from the overwhelming realization that another little life now existed because of a promise built on trust instead of romance. "I'm going to be a father again," he whispered to himself. Everything suddenly became real. The following months proved more difficult than either expected. Rumors exploded inside the company. Paparazzi somehow learned Celeste was expecting. Business magazines published endless speculation. Anonymous online comments questioned her integrity. Some accused Nathan of chasing wealth. Others claimed the CEO had manipulated an employee. Neither accusation reflected reality. Nathan nearly resigned to protect both families. Celeste refused to let fear decide their future. During an all-company meeting, she publicly addressed the rumors without revealing unnecessary private details. She spoke about respect, about personal choices, about refusing to let gossip define human dignity. Then she surprised everyone. She announced expanded parental leave, childcare assistance, counseling services, and flexible schedules for every employee, saying that families deserved support regardless of how they were formed. The room erupted into applause. Nathan watched quietly from the back. For the first time, he realized leadership wasn't measured by profits. It was measured by courage. Meanwhile, little Ivy began asking innocent questions about the growing baby. Instead of confusion, she showed excitement. She proudly told classmates she was going to become a big sister. Her unconditional acceptance healed fears both adults had secretly carried for months. One snowy evening, Celeste invited Nathan and Ivy to see the baby's nursery. The enormous mansion no longer felt empty. Tiny books filled the shelves. Stuffed animals waited patiently beside the crib. Ivy carefully placed one of her favorite teddy bears inside, explaining every baby needed a friend on the first night home. Celeste couldn't stop smiling. She finally understood that family wasn't created by perfect circumstances. It was created through consistent love. Winter slowly melted into spring. The delivery day finally arrived beneath bright blue skies. Nathan paced the hospital hallway with shaking hands. Although they had never become husband and wife, he felt deeply responsible for both mother and child. Hours later, the doctor stepped outside wearing the biggest smile. A healthy baby boy had entered the world. Nathan walked carefully into the room. Celeste looked exhausted but peaceful. She gently placed the tiny baby into Nathan's arms. The newborn wrapped impossibly small fingers around his hand. Nathan broke down crying. Every painful year, every lonely night, every sacrifice, every impossible decision, suddenly made sense. They named the little boy Rowan. Not after wealth, not after power, but after an old tree known for growing strong through every season. The following years surprised everyone. Nathan remained an active father to both children. Celeste never tried replacing Ivy's late mother, yet she became another trusted adult who loved her deeply. Their unusual family confused strangers at first. Eventually, kindness spoke louder than explanations. Birthdays were celebrated together. School performances were attended together. Holidays became filled with laughter neither adult thought they'd ever experience again. Neither Nathan nor Celeste rushed into romance. Their relationship grew slowly through friendship, trust, sleepless nights, shared parenting, and countless ordinary moments. Several years later, during Ivy's elementary school graduation picnic, Nathan looked around at the family they had unexpectedly built. Children chased butterflies across the grass. Celeste laughed freely without worrying about shareholders. Rowan sat on Nathan's shoulders pretending to fly. For the first time since Amelia's passing, Nathan realized happiness hadn't replaced the past. It had gently grown beside it. One quiet evening after putting both children to bed, Celeste handed Nathan a small handwritten letter. Inside was a single sentence. "Thank you for proving that the greatest families are built by courage, kindness, and choosing love every single day." Nathan smiled. Sometimes life didn't follow the plans people imagined. Sometimes the most beautiful chapters began with impossible questions. And sometimes the greatest miracle wasn't simply becoming a parent. It was discovering that broken hearts could still create extraordinary families. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who believes in hope, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Kindness Legacy. Your support helps us continue sharing stories that remind the world kindness still exists. Rose special request. Before you leave, comment with, "Family is built with love heart," if you believe love and kindness matter more than blood alone. As the golden afternoon sun settled beyond the horizon, Nathan watched Ivy and Rowan run hand in hand across the green park while Celeste smiled beside him. In that quiet moment, he finally understood that life sometimes writes better endings than people ever dared to imagine. Their journey had begun with an impossible request, but it ended with something far greater than any of them expected, a family built not by chance, but by trust, compassion, sacrifice, and unconditional love. And that was the greatest blessing of all.